Well, I think it's been so long I've forgotten to say thank you for all the Christmas gifts that I received before I left. That really appreciated it. And I was able to take 2 bags of rosary beads from the rosary makers, and I had 4 bags of souvenirs for my family, 6 bags altogether. So thank you for all those gifts. And one of those gifts was a book that I was given, and it's called Reclaiming Vatican II. So I took it with me and I was reading it on my vacation. It was an interesting book because I never realized that I thought Vatican II was done and we've lived through it, but it tells us we are trying to reclaim the real teachings of the Vatican II documents, because we have been influenced so much by progressive theologians and the traditional theologians. And because of this enmity between them, they have not been faithful to the real teachings of Vatican II. And they have gone away with their own interpretations of what they think are the teachings of Vatican II. And unfortunately, it has affected so many of us. In our seminary days, we were affected by this, that some progressive theologians were trying to introduce all this stuff that we were so uncomfortable with. And now it's a going back to the real sources of the Vatican II documents. And basically, it's a whole renewal of the church, trying to renew the church from within and affecting the world as we renew ourselves. And that is why this new evangelization is coming out strong from Rome, from our diocese, and to our parishes, and new interest in the new evangelization. And this is what we are entering into. But just focusing on the enmity, because the enmity between the extreme left and right is getting worse and worse in our society, in the world, in our schools, in our workplaces, and even in our families. I've just been to my family at home, and it's just sad to see that my own siblings are, gossiping about one another and being judgmental. My relatives doing the same thing, and in the villages, there's so much bitterness against different groups. And this is what is happening all over the place. In our families, in our workplaces, in our schools, in our nation, our political differences, we become enemies of one another. Enemies. I have stopped watching Facebook because the things that there's so much good we can do with social media. But some of the things that people get into with their political differences, the hatred, the enmity, is just, boy, it challenges us. And today when we are faced with these readings that Jesus commands us, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who mistreat you. Can we do this? Is this doable? We ask. He said, this is all only for the saints. This is not for me. But this is the challenge Jesus offers his disciples and offers you and me. And St. Paul in today's second reading to the Corinthians, he shows us that it is possible to do this if we realize that the first Adam was an earthly Adam, and what the earthly Adam brought was a disobedience to God, evil, sin, hatred, enmity, darkness. These were all the works of the first Adam, the earthly Adam. And this is part of who we are as human beings. This is our human nature. It's part of us. It's in our DNA, as it were. That there is strong language we throw at one another. We hate each other. We despise one another. We gossip and judge one another all the time, beginning from our families. And you go, every level of our relationships, there is this enmity. And Jesus reminds us, but there is also a heavenly Adam. Jesus Christ, by his death and resurrection, has given us this life-giving spirit, a life-giving spirit that will help us overcome this hatred, bitterness against one another. If we allow the spirit of this life-giving spirit of Jesus that we received by our baptism, Jesus claimed us for himself, given us his light, his spirit to dwell in us. We have limitless access to the graces of God within us, because in us is not only the earthly Adam, it's also the heavenly Adam that is in us. And that is why it is possible for us to live this commandment of Jesus, to love our enemies, do good to those who hate us, bless those who curse us, and pray for those who mistreat us. We can do this. It is doable. And this is the challenge that you and I are given today. But when we look at our relationships on the parish level, on the church level, in our nation, this is a message that is so relevant to all of us because it challenges us with regards to our faith. Are we going to continue to destroy one another? Are we going to, like the great empires, They destroyed themselves from within. The United States can also destroy itself from within when we hate one another so much that we want to destroy one another. And this can be our death as a nation, as a power, as an empire. It can destroy us. How many of us, if we're given an opportunity to kill and destroy our enemy, would do so? I'm not surprised many of us will do so. Can just shoot one another down, kill each other. Very simple. Well, our first reading today, David showed us we can do otherwise. David was given an opportunity to destroy his enemy, but he will never do it. He chose not to do it to Saul. He is the anointed one. He took his spear with him, but he told Abishai, no. Abishai said, I can just give one step, one stroke of this spear to Saul. It'll destroy. But David would not allow him. How many of us would be able to do so today? Jim Marshall just showed me something that he read on the Magnificat. And it's interesting because it simply says that Jesus' commandment to us, he will only give a command that he knows that we can live up to. And today Jesus has raised the bar for all his disciples, to you and me. Will you be able to forgive, to love your enemy? Or are you ready to destroy them? With the earthly Adam, we can easily destroy our enemies. But when we allow the Spirit of Christ in us, we can live the commandment Jesus says to us today. Love your enemy, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, and pray for those who mistreat you. Let us pray today for our families, for people that we work with. Let us pray for our nation. Let us pray for our world. Let us pray that we may choose today to live the spirit of the heavenly Adam, not to destroy, but to love, to bless, and to pray for one another. God bless you all.